Today, of course, the RTA saying changes to the way that the driving test is run. Today's changes aren't radical. It's about making the driving test electronic, the way that the instructors grade people. But it's all part of a series of evolutionary changes to the driving test and driving regulation here in Dubai. From the RTA, the Roads and Transport Authority, for more detail on this, I spoke a short while ago to a fascinating individual. He's the Chief Executive Officer of the Roads and Transport Authority Licensing Authority. Okay. And you speak to some people and you just go, yes, you get it. And some people just absolutely, they just convince you and you say, yeah, absolutely, that's right. That's exactly what I was thinking. That's exactly how it should be. I came off the phone with this guy thinking, yes, that's absolutely right. You've absolutely got it. So this is him. He's Ahmed Barousian. As I say, he's the Chief Executive Officer of the licensing operations down at the RTA. And this is what he had to say. Begins with the kind of small operational bits about exactly what they're doing today and the changes, but then becomes much more expansive and talks about the driving test more broadly and how it links in with the quality of driving here in Dubai.
Okay, what we're trying to do here is introduce a little bit of technology into the road test. So currently our examiners have a paper score sheet and they actually sit on the, in the passenger seat of the car next to the person who's undertaking the test. And they actually, score the person and note down the mistakes on a piece of paper. Now, it's obviously there's paper involved. Secondly, it requires the examiner, once he gets back to the driving institute and before he takes the next batch of students for their road test, to actually go back into his office and then enter the results of the test into the system and then come back and take the next batch. So what we're doing here is introducing iPads and other kinds of tablet PCs into the examiner's car, so the examiner can actually enter the results of the test onto the tablet immediately without using paper. So it's better in terms of accuracy, and at the same time also it doesn't require the examiner to continuously shift between the car and his office in order to enter the results. Once he gets back to the office premises, we'll have a wireless system in the area around the office which will then pick up the test results from the device and then move them into the system electronically. So it makes the process more accurate, it makes it more efficient. Just a word of caution that this doesn't change the way we actually score the exam, so we're still using the same criteria for the test, the same score sheet, etc. The only thing is we've actually trying to shift from a paper-based system into an electronic system. So where we are right now is we're actually going to immediately start piloting this with one driving institute for about a month, and if our examiners are comfortable with the system and we feel the results are positive, then we'll immediately roll it out across all the other driving centers.
You've decided, as you say, to leave the criteria unchanged. That's interesting. Why is that? What is it that gives you confidence in the current system and makes you believe that that is working well?
Well, we actually do a review of our system periodically. The last review was only a few months ago. We have also aligned our score sheet with the new curriculum which we introduced last year, which is a unified curriculum across all the driving institutes. So we don't feel like at this point we actually need to review the criteria. In general, the results of the road tests have been positive in the last 4 or 5 years in terms of increase. Which doesn't mean that we've been more lenient with the students. It just probably means that there's been a better synergy or coordination between the driving institute who teach the person how to drive and the RTA licensing agency who actually conduct the test. So I think people are getting more qualified when they come to us. Therefore, they are passing the test, and I think this trend will actually continue. As the new unified training curriculum is implemented, in the driving institutes, we also have recently introduced a fairly strict system for actually ensuring that we have qualified trainers. So every single driver trainer at the driving institute has to conduct a series of tests in order to be certified. And this, again, we believe will help because, you could have a very good curriculum, but if you don't have the right instructors, then obviously it's not a complete system. So we're working very closely with the institutes to ensure that we have the right curriculum, the right instructors, and the right testing system in order to ensure that we end up having a complete system that ensures safe drivers on the roads, hopefully.
Given that you've made a number of changes over the past couple of years or so, and this change to an electronic marking system is one in a series of changes, where does the RTAs and Dubai's driving test system now stand if you benchmark it against others internationally? How good is it? What are its strengths, and what are the other areas that you still want to address and improve?
Sure. Well, as you said, we've done a lot of work over the last 5 years or so in terms of improving our driver curriculum. We started with the motorcycle test, which is slightly similar to the Australian model. We then moved on to the light motor vehicles. What I like about the light motor vehicle test is that it's not really based on a certain country's standard. We've actually looked at different practices in different countries, from all the way from Europe, from the Far East, etc. And we've actually kind of taken what we feel is good practice in different models. So it's a very unique Dubai model. Is there room for improvement? Yes, obviously we always keep looking for improving our systems, but I believe at this point, with the new unified curriculum which was introduced last year, we have made a big leap in our training method. One of the most important things that we have done is introduce a mandatory set of 8 classroom sessions, which was not mandatory before we had the unified curriculum. The reason that's important to me is that most accidents happen more because of driver attitude and behavior, rather than actually people not having the skills of driving. So it's about keeping the right distance with the vehicle in front. It's about how to drive in certain weather conditions. It's about driving etiquette in general. So those skills obviously are not taught on the roads. They're actually taught in the classroom sessions. So I think the fact that we now have mandatory classroom sessions which are unified across all driving institutes is a big positive step for us.
That's Ahmed Barouzian, Chief Executive of the RTA's Licensing Authority. Fascinating insights from him. More a little bit later on when he talks about the issue of language and how the RTA approaches this in such a multicultural city as Dubai. And also his own personal thoughts on driving. How does he feel, not as the Chief Executive within the RTA, but as a resident of Dubai and as a father and as someone who lives and breathes here? What does he think about the drive? This is interesting. Really great guy, Ahmed Barouzian, Chief Executive of the Licensing Department at the RTA, talking about the new changes that they're introduced today to the driving test. There's cosmetic changes, they're going digital, but more importantly, putting it in the context of the long-term initiative that the RTA has to make the standards of driving on the road better, to make the roads safer. It's interesting stuff. This is what he had to say, the second part of that interview right now. Ahmed Barouzian.
We definitely, obviously, technology is something we normally try to introduce in licensing agencies. So this is a step in that direction. But it's not just about technology. As I said, we're continuously working with organizations in other countries. We're a member of CIECA, which is a European organization for driver training and testing. We attend their conferences every year. We have access to documents which actually show best practices or provide us with access to best practices across European countries. So we are definitely in touch with other countries. We're aware of what they're doing, and just like we're trying to evolve, so are other countries as well. So we try to, through our interaction with them, to improve our systems. So definitely, I don't want to say we have the best system, in the world, but we have definitely made lots of improvements over the last few years, and I think we will continue to do that as we go forward.
Just to pick up on a couple of points that you've made. One is with the new driving test. How are you approaching the issue of languages in a city like Dubai that, of course, has so many different nationalities?
Yes. Well, language is always a challenge in Dubai, no doubt about that. And we try as much as possible to accommodate 3 languages, which is Arabic, English, and Urdu. Which, obviously, Arabic and English is obvious, but Urdu being one of the, prevalent languages in the city. But as you said, it's very difficult to accommodate all languages. So, for example, what we try to do in the theory test, for example, or the knowledge test, is that we actually allow people from nationalities which don't speak these 3 languages, because the test is offered in those 3 languages, to actually have a translator, an approved translator along with them. So we try to make it as easy as possible. We have in our driving institutes people or instructors who speak different languages. So in given institute, there might be at any point in time about 8 or 9 languages that are spoken by different instructors. So we try our best to actually accommodate everyone, but we also have to understand that to a certain extent, with the road signs, etc., in Dubai, one would need to actually speak Arabic or English, or maybe some form of the other prevalent languages. But we can't obviously cover all languages. We are planning as much as possible to expand our theory test to include further languages. Our driving training materials, etc., are in the 3 languages that I mentioned as well. So we are doing our best, but yes, it's definitely a challenge with more than 200 nationalities living in Dubai.
I can't let you go without asking you this, as well as being Chief Executive Officer of the RTA licensing agency. You're also a resident of Dubai. You live and work here. You drive on the roads the same as we do. Let me ask you, when you drive around and you look out of your car window, do you see improvements in driving? How do you feel as someone who's driving here and has a family driving around here in Dubai on the roads?
Well, I definitely see, honestly speaking, improvements from the last year. So I definitely see an improvement. I see more awareness from people on the roads about driving rules, etc. The statistics or the numbers definitely show Dubai has made dramatic improvement in terms of a number of fatalities on the roads and accidents, not just in terms of people in cars but also in pedestrians, which is a very good sign, because a major part of road deaths has always been pedestrians. So I think there's been a lot of new pedestrian crossings, a lot more awareness happening in the labor camps, etc., to ensure that people are aware. But again, as you said, with the numbers we had 5 or 6 years ago, is not going to change overnight. There's a lot, not just that the RTA has to do. I mean, driver training is one part of the road safety, I would say, system. You definitely have enforcement is another issue, design of roads, and I would say awareness. That's probably the most important thing. So there has been improvement. The numbers have shown that. I think what I see around me, I see positive signs. But we all have to work closely together, ourselves, the police, other authorities, to ensure that we continue to have safer roads in Dubai.
Ahmed Barouzian, Chief Executive Officer of the RTA Licensing Agency. It's been great talking to you. Thanks so much indeed for your time. I didn't have the